like, I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. I mean, she made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. A Wednesday that, well, is really opening night in the NBA. I know we had a couple of games last night, but by and large, the majority of the association gets underway tonight, including the Orlando Magic. They are in a good one right now with Miami down there in Central Florida. Magic up 57-52 midway through the second quarter. So we'll keep you updated on some NBA action tonight. Of course, the Jaguars in the midst of a bye week as they take a couple of days off, and then they start preparing for the Las Vegas Raiders a week from Sunday. Keep in mind, you have this week, you have next week, and then you have the trade deadline on, I believe, Tuesday, November the 4th, which is the NFL trade deadline. So we will keep our eyes peeled and our ears to the Outer Banks here to see if anything were to get done with James Gladstone, Liam Cohen, Tony Baselli. Obviously, they have proven in the first 2.5, 3 months since training camp that they are willing to make some moves. Fred Johnson, Tank Bigsby, obviously Tyson Campbell among them. And the NFL trade deadline is less than 2 weeks away, Tuesday, November the 4th. We will talk a lot of Jacksonville Jaguars tonight. My buddy Leon Searcy, former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You hear him every day on Primetime, and you get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark, as we'll take a look at the Jaguars' 4-3 start here in 2025 and what needs to change when they resume play in 11 days. Also, Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country and the Duval Dive podcast. He will join us in the 9 o'clock hour to talk about some of the struggles that Jacksonville has had the last couple of weeks, and more importantly, how they can get out of those struggles when they resume play in 11 days. Also, with the NBA getting underway, my buddy Trevor Lane, he is the host of the NBA Front Office Show. Trevor is one of my favorites to talk NBA basketball with, and we will talk Orlando. We will talk about all the injuries in the East, and we'll talk about the Western Conference. By the way, how about last night, Florida Gator fans? Did you see that? Will Richard made his NBA debut last night for Golden State. 14 minutes, 5 points, a couple of assists, a couple of rebounds. Actually got a game ball in the Golden State locker room as he's teammates now with Steph Curry, Draymond Green. So congrats to Will Richard on making his NBA debut. Walter Clayton Jr. and Elijah Martin are making their NBA debuts tonight. Walter Clayton, of course, with the Utah Jazz, and Elijah Martin with the Toronto Raptors. And we'll keep updated on what they do during their NBA debuts this evening. So we're absolutely loaded. We're with you till 10 o'clock. As always, Jacksonville, we are happy you are spending part of your Wednesday evening with us. Every night on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
So I want to talk to you guys about a disease that is spreading through the Gator Nation like wildfire. I mean, alumni, current students, parents of students, general fan base, season ticket holders, Bull Gators. I mean, it is a disease right now, and there's really no cure for it. And that disease is LKS. And LKS stands for Lane Kiffin syndrome. And it's prevalent, brother. It is prevalent from Gainesville to Jacksonville, from Orlando to Miami. And in the Gator fan base, you could say it's prevalent from Atlanta to LA. Pretty much all people that represent the orange and blue want Lane Kiffin, or an absolute overwhelming majority of them. And Lane Kiffin syndrome is kind of a disease right now, because it's going to be a prolonged disease, because you're not going to get any answers one way or the other for a good 8 weeks, right? And if Ole Miss makes the playoff, you may not get an answer, at least publicly, until about the first of the year in 2026. So, I know most of you are suffering with LKS. I know the ones in my inner circle, my Gator alumni buddies, my Gator season ticket holder buddies, that's all they're talking about is Lane Kiffin this and Lane Kiffin that. I've followed sports long enough, and I've been privileged to talk sports long enough on the radio to offer the other side, right? It's easy to talk about, you know, what Lane Kiffin's going to do at Florida, and is he coming to Florida, and how he idolized Steve Spurrier, and how he lived many years in the Tampa area with his father, Monty Kiffin, and obviously that's what everybody's talking about, and that's what most people believe will lead Lane Kiffin to the University of Florida. But let me give you the other side of it. Just stay with me here for argument's sake. Have you let your mind, if you're a Gator fan and you have Lane Kiffin syndrome, have you let your mind go to the world of what if Lane Kiffin doesn't come to Florida, right? Would that be a shot to the solar plexus, as Gordon Soley once said? Would that be getting kicked below the belt by a mule? I mean, whatever analogy you want to use. Have you taken your mind to the point where, all right, yeah, I'm probably suffering from Lane Kiffin syndrome right now, but what if he doesn't come to Florida? What if he actually says no? Because I think it's common knowledge, or at least it should be common knowledge, that he's going to be awfully high on Florida's list, and there is a better chance than not that he is going to be offered the head coaching position at the University of Florida. He will more than likely be offered the job. The question is, will he accept and make Gator Nation rejoice and sing Kumbaya that Lane Kiffin is coming to Gainesville? What if he says no? Then what? How much of a downer would that be? How much of a fall from grace would that be? How much just of a shot to the ego of Gator Nation would that be? And the funny thing about it, Gator fans, I know you. You know you. Right now, Lane Kiffin is the best thing since sliced bread. Right? He's phenomenal. He's Lane Kiffin. He's going to turn everything around. If he says no to Florida, I'm willing to bet you won't be a very big Lane Kiffin fan at that point, will you? You might have, I don't know, some negative things to say about Lane Kiffin. And what I really can't wait for is if Lane Kiffin says no, I can't wait for the people that tell me, we didn't want him anyway. We don't need Lane Kiffin. The ones that are crying for Lane Kiffin now and wanting him so bad they can taste it, if Kiffin says no, didn't need him anyway. We're the University of Florida. We don't need him. Lane Kiffin's going to be the top choice for this job. I believe that. I think many others believe that. And he very well might take the job. But instead of putting all your eggs in the Lane Kiffin basket, those of you that are currently suffering from LKS, Lane Kiffin syndrome, I believe you should at least contemplate the idea that Lane Kiffin may say no. And in which case, then what do? Well, I think the answer is obvious at that point. I would go Brent Key, but that's not what I think Florida's going to do. I think Florida's going to hire Eli Drinkowitz. If you give me Lane Kiffin and you give me Eli Drinkowitz and I give you the field, I will feel very good about my chances of having the next Gator head football coach. To me, it's going to be Kiffin or it's going to be Eli. And I really don't think there's a third option. And what's interesting, beginning this week, as a matter of fact, you probably want to root against Ole Miss and Missouri, right? You don't want them in the playoff. That clutters things for Gator Nation. So even though most of you really want Lane Kiffin, it would behoove you to root against him this week, to have Oklahoma beat Ole Miss. Likewise, for Eli Drinkowitz, you probably want Vandy to beat Missouri. In a perfect world, neither Ole Miss or Missouri would make the college football playoff, meaning both Kiffin and Drinkowitz would be available sooner rather than later. Lane Kiffin syndrome is real, and it has taken over Gator Nation over the last couple of days. And I agree with you that he's going to be the number one choice for the University of Florida, in my opinion. I also do not believe it is a slam dunk. I also think he could tell you no. And if he tells you no, just kind of mentally prepare yourself for that. Don't get so over the top hyped on Kiffin that it would be such a letdown if it doesn't turn out to be Lane Kiffin. Again, I think it's going to be Kiffin or Eli. But I'm not positive it's going to be Lane. Denmark, quickly, would you agree with that? You give me Kiffin, you give me Drinkowitz, I give you the field. Who has the next Gator coach?
Oh, it's one of those two, no doubt.
I think it's no doubt, right? I think Drinkowitz would sprint to Florida. Even if he knows he's not the top choice, which I don't believe he would be, even if he knows Lane is the top choice, if Lane says no, I think Eli Drinkowitz would do his best 40-yard dash to Gainesville, Florida, and take that job.
Well, and Florida's not going to do the get Summer off from Tulane. They're not getting the next hotshot guy. They're getting a guy from a proven program.
And a proven program in the Southeastern Conference, because right now, Ole Miss and Missouri are better football programs than Florida. And they just are. Missouri was in the top 10 last year. They've been in the top 15 a majority of this year. Ole Miss has been in the top 15 the majority of the last couple of years. Where's Florida been? Florida was lucky to go to a bowl game last year. They'll be lucky to go to a bowl game this year. Again, Kiffin or Drinkowitz. Just don't get overly high on Kiffin. I know you want him. Question is, does he want Florida? And again, we'll find that out sooner rather than later. More in the college game coming up later on, but I do want to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. Into the bye week. The guys are off now. They'll be off for the next couple of days. They'll get back together on Monday and begin preparations for the 10-game run, 10 consecutive weeks of football, beginning next Sunday, a week from Sunday against the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's talk about the Jaguars' 4-3 start. Let's talk about why things went so well in the first month, why things have gone so poorly in the last 2 weeks, and where is the common ground? Who are the Jaguars? Are the Jaguars we saw go 4-1 with wins over Houston, Kansas City, and San Francisco? Or are the Jaguars the team we saw the last 2 weeks lose to Seattle and get boat raced by LA? Two very different teams in a very short span of time. Who are the real Jacksonville Jaguars? Well, let's talk to a real Jacksonville Jaguar. A man that went to the Pro Bowl as a Jacksonville Jaguar offensive tackle. My buddy Leon Searcy joins me next on a Wednesday night here in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock. It's 1010XL, and it's 92.5 FM.
Learn everything you need to know about the Jaguars on Duval Rundown. I'm Hayes Carlyon. Join me each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 9:04. You can find Duval Rundown on all the social channels of 1010XL.
Driven by Jacksonville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Westside.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9 Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Jacksonville Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coatings, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
XL Primetime is back weekdays noon to 2, and on Wednesdays, join Dr. George Bari at 1:20 for the latest in sports injuries from all the big names in the game. Make sure you catch Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime Wednesdays at 1:20 on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Strap in, Duval. The Jaguars are gearing up to face the Los Angeles Chargers Sunday, November 16th for our annual Salute to Service game. Join us as we honor and celebrate the brave men and women of our military all game long. Secure your seats now and be a part of the action by visiting jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. Let's stand together, Duval.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal, you look troubled. Is something bugging you?
This friendship isn't all upside for me, Jason. People keep asking me stuff about you.
They ask you about me?
Is it really cooler with Bueller, they ask? So I say, totally. And they say, how do you mean that? And I say, he fixes air conditioners, which literally makes somebody cool. But he also has cool sunglasses and cool people and a cool family.
And I try to make working at Bueller Air and Plumbing a really cool experience for our technicians and plumbers. We treat our people like gold, and they treat our homeowners the exact same way.
Great. Well, now there's another cool thing I've got to remember. This is a lot of responsibility, Jason.
Life can get hectic sometimes. If you don't take a moment to slow down and appreciate all the cool parts, you could miss it.
Do people ask you about me at all?
Weirdly, they do.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
It's the event everyone waits for. Now at Beard's Diamonds. Buy one, get one free on all wedding bands. Now for a limited time, when you buy his wedding band, get hers free. Buy hers, get his free. Save up to $10,000. Are you about to get married or been married for years thinking it's time for an upgrade? There's nothing that symbolizes your love more than the wedding band. Beard's has hundreds and hundreds of bands from top designers in white gold, yellow gold, rose gold, titanium, platinum, plain bands, channel set bands, pave set, eternity bands. And for men, masculine bands, wide, modern, with and without diamonds, hammered, brushed, engraved, lots of colors. Come to Beard's now and find the wedding band that reflects your style and your personality. Buy one, get the second one free. The big box corporate jewelry stores can't or won't do this, but Beard's can. And it's happening now through October 26th. Buy one wedding band, get the second one free. Don't miss this opportunity to celebrate your eternal love with the eternal symbol. Beard's Diamonds at St. John's Town Center.
Oh, no.
Ah, that's the sound of someone who's misplaced
My debit card.
their debit card.
Where did I leave that thing?
Not at the gas pump, or the checkout counter, or the roof of your car. Now, if he has the Chase mobile app, he can use Card Lock.
Wait, I could just lock my card.
Yep, just a few tippy taps on his phone, and that sound, that's peace of mind from Chase.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A., member FDIC.
When you head out for a night with friends or going to the big game, don't forget the best game plan to win the night is to designate a driver and guarantee a safe ride home. Hydrating between buds is the best play you can make. Bud Light, reminding all to drink wiser.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars 4-3, 7 weeks into the year, a bye week coming up this week, and then 10 consecutive games beginning a week from Sunday out in Las Vegas, taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's talk about the 4-3 start to the year, but certainly a lot of questions about this Jaguar football team during this bye week. Former Pro Bowl offensive tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Leon Searcy. You hear him every day on Primetime, and we get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, how we doing, bud?
Doing good, bro.
All right, you and I did the fifth quarter last week. That was unfortunate, the 35-7 beatdown at the hands of the L.A. Rams. Before we look big picture, let's briefly look back last week. Leon, that was bad, man, and hopefully that'll be the worst game they play all year because that was bad all the way around. We talk about team wins. Well, that was a total team loss because there was essentially blame to go everywhere.
It was, Hank. I mean, they got obliterated in that game, bro. They got outcoached. They got outclassed. I mean, the Rams look like the superior team, which they are. They right now, they're one of the top teams in the NFL. And the Jaguars, unfortunately, had to take this loss into the bye. And you know what? I had to assess how I feel about us going into the bye 4-3. If you had told me at the beginning of the season, preseason wise, looking at that schedule, that we would be 4-3 going into the bye, heck, I would have taken it all day. Absolutely taken it all day. But the way they got to 4-3 is what's troubling to me, because the remnants about those last two games against Seattle and against the Rams reminded me a lot of last year. And I want to put last year behind me, because that team last year didn't compete. This team is doing a little better job than that, but we just look god awful the last 2 weeks, bro, going into the bye.
Yeah, I think there's two different 4-3s. You make a good point. There's 4-3 where there's a lot of optimism and positivity, and then there's 4-3 where you have more questions than you have answers, and unfortunately the Jaguars are in the latter of that right now. There's so many issues, Leon. Let's begin with your bread and butter, the offensive line. 14 sacks allowed in the last two games. Now, I will say some of those potentially are on Trevor Lawrence as well. Wide receivers not getting open. Maybe you can't blame the offensive line for all 14, but what is wrong with the pass blocking right now, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, there's lack of communication when it comes to stunts and blitzes and that kind of stuff. And you listen, I didn't give him a pass last week because Hainsey wasn't in the building. But this past game against the Rams, I mean, the first play of the game, Hainsey gets beat by Frisk, and then Versus gets the sack. I mean, that was just awful. So, I mean, you can't make an excuse for them that they didn't have their full force in order, because you had all guys, all five starters back in the game against the Rams. And it's just the lack of execution, the lack of communication, the lack of toughness, the lack of physicality. And I don't know where it went, because this team, this offensive line, in my assessment, like the first 5 weeks was my MVP. I mean, they were playing outstanding, getting to the second level, blocking down, gap blocking, gap protection, all that kind of stuff. It was a beautiful thing to see. I mean, even brought a tear to my eye at one particular time. I ain't gonna lie, the way they were blocking and the way they were physically imposing their will on defensive players. And for the last week, whatever happened to it, I mean, they need to get it back. I mean, they absolutely need to get it back, because this offense, this Trevor Lawrence, is only going to go as far as his offensive line takes him. As far as protection, as far as run game goes, I don't care how dynamic, how generational Trevor is supposed to be. If this offensive line does not protect him and can't establish a run game, it makes him one-dimensional, we're in for a long rest of the season.
Former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy with us here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, I agree with you about all that, and we'll get to Trevor in a moment, but it's one thing to lose games. It's another thing to look sloppy in losing games. And the Jaguars' penalties, at this point, it's ridiculous. They had 13 accepted penalties. That's accepted. They actually committed more that the Rams declined for over 100 yards. Again, just the sloppiness out there is really, really concerning, man.
It's embarrassing, bro. It's absolutely embarrassing. And you call yourself a professional athlete and you're making stupid penalties on a regular. I mean, it really is. It's embarrassing that you're not a disciplined ball club. And you can't tell me that this stuff is not going on in practice, because I truly believe that whatever you allow in practice shows up on Sundays. There needs to be a point of emphasis on everybody to do it right all the time. And it's not happening. You just don't go out there on Sundays and assess 13 penalties out of thin air. I mean, there's something about this team that's undisciplined in practices, that's allowed to accumulate in practice to where they're playing this way on Sunday. And it's embarrassing. They should all be embarrassed by the amount of penalties that because listen, if you're the one of the most penalized team, I guarantee you this, you're not going to win a lot of games. If you're getting penalized and turning the ball over, you're not going to win a lot of football games in this league.
Leon, Trevor Lawrence has gotten his fair share of the blame this week. Again, I think it was a total team loss. I think it was outside of Travis Hunter. I don't think anybody played particularly well on Sunday over at Wembley Stadium. But what's your thought on Trevor heading into the bye week?
You know what, Hack? Last week we had Kurt Warner on the show, and Kurt Warner gave his assessment of what he thought Trevor Lawrence was, and I think he was spot on. Kurt Warner was saying Trevor's the type of guy that every now and then he'll throw a pass where you say, well, wow, only 2 or 3 guys can throw that pass in this league. But then he said the easy stuff, the layups, you know, the short routes, the dinks and dunks that he should be making on a regular, he makes them, they're difficult. They're not difficult routes, but he makes them difficult by his play. And he was saying his Trevor struggles with the easy throws that he should make in his sleep, but he makes a dynamic throw. And I watched the game. I wanted to watch the game, the London game, through like Kurt Warner's eyes. So I was picking up on that. And if he was right, he was spot on. He was absolutely spot on when it came to Trevor and the throws that he was making. And that's something that has to change. That's something that has to be a point of emphasis on Trevor. He's got to take the profit, not always go for the long, deep routes. Take the profit, take the check downs, make them easy, move your feet, maneuver your hands, your body, and make the easy throws right. And until he does that, man, he's going to struggle.
Well, that's what I brought up to you on the 5th quarter. You know, I always love a guy like Kurt Warner calling Jaguar games because a Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback, you could tell, you know, in his voice how kind of frustrated he was at times with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, missing a screen pass to ETN, airmailing a ball to a wide-open tight end, throwing it 5 yards over his head. I mean, quarterbacks know what it's supposed to look like, and you could tell Warner calling the game was actually getting a little frustrated by what he was seeing with Trevor.
He was. He absolutely was getting frustrated. You can hear it. You can hear it in his voice, Hack. And a guy like Kurt Warner, who's in the Hall of Fame, I mean, he sees a lot. He sees a lot of good in Trevor, but he also sees a lot of inconsistencies in Trevor. And those inconsistencies isn't arm strength, isn't arm velocity. It's just taking the profit. The short to intermediate throws have got to be on point if he's going to help this team move forward. And that's something that he's got to continually work on. And Kurt Warner knows that. I know he sees talent in Trevor, but he doesn't see enough consistency in the stuff that he should be doing in his sleep.
Final moments with Leon Searcy. All right, Leon, I want to talk big picture in a moment. If there was a silver lining on Sunday, it was a breakout performance for Travis Hunter. 8 catches, over 100 yards, and a touchdown, which was good because the rest of the wide receivers left a lot to be desired. The Brian Thomas Jr. thing, we've talked about it every week. At this point, I don't know what else to say. He's just not playing very well. Parker Washington didn't have his best performance either. De'Ami Brown was okay, I guess. But the bottom line is Travis Hunter, by far and away, was the best wide receiver they had on Sunday.
And your offense, absolutely, I totally agree with you, Hat. And your offense has to go through him now. BTJ is not the guy that you thought he was. That shot he took in the preseason, he's still dealing with it in his head mentally. He's still shortchanging catches. He's still scared to go across the middle. And it's apparent. It's not even, bro, he can't even hide it anymore. I mean, he's making business decisions. You know what? All of them did. De'Ami Brown did. Parker Washington did. But BTJ, he's doing it consistently week in and week out. He's making business decisions. And in this league, you know, the defenders watch film. And if they're noticing that, I guarantee you the defensive back coach will say, hey, listen, you take a lick on this kid, he's done. So, I mean, if you get labeled like that and you don't come through on catches, man, we can't run our offense through someone like that. So Travis Hunter, I mean, the kid's fearless. I mean, his ability, all he needs to do is work on his Christmas, you know, coming out in and out of his breaks. But I don't even care about that. Listen, he's a dynamic player, and the offense should definitely be run through him because he's going to go get it. So in my opinion, he's your wide receiver number 1 moving forward.
Leon, 11 years for you in the National Football League. When you're coming off a beating like that, I mean, is it a good time for a bye? I almost think you'd want to get out there to kind of get that taste out of your mouth, but now they got to simmer on this for another week plus, which could be good maybe in the long run, but for the time being, I imagine it's very frustrating.
Well, it is, Hack, and listen, I can reference back to 1995 when I was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We had just lost to y'all, the Jaguars. We were 3-4, and we had a bye. And I remember Bill Cowher said, "Look, that was an awful loss. We're going into this bye. We're going to get back to basics. We're going to take off the pads." He said, "We're going to work on fundamentals and technique, all the stuff that made us good before this loss." And we just got back to business. We just, we shook off the dust. We got our heads right. We said we're going to make a run. We're going to get back to being physical, get back to being tough and all that kind of stuff. And heck, we went on a run. That year, in 95, we won games, 7 in a row. Or was it 7 in a row? Yeah, it was 6. It was like we won like 7 out of 8, whatever it was. But that was our Super Bowl year. Now, I'm not saying the Jaguars are going to the Super Bowl. I'm just referencing what happened to me coming off a big loss, going into a bye, and what we did. We just got back to the basics of fundamentals, get back to being tough and physical and mentally tough and physical, eliminating the mistakes. So, to be honest with you, Hat, our Super Bowl run had a lot to do with the Jaguars beating us and going into the bye that week because we got back to business and we were able to make it to the Super Bowl after that loss.
Yeah, there's no doubt the Jaguars got embarrassed at Wembley Stadium, and now they have to think about it for an extra week before they hit the field again. Leon, final question. We got 60 seconds. Big picture. I mean, they are 4-3. They would be in the playoffs if they started today. Having said that, if they don't play any better than they did against the Rams, they won't win another game this year. But if you want to be positive about it, clearly the final 10 games on paper appear to be more winnable than some of the games in the first 7.
Yeah, listen, I hate to say that the heavy lifting is over because, I mean, those teams that we got to play, those final 10 teams, all at any particular time could beat you. But in saying that, the Jaguars got to look at it like this. You got a 10-game season. You go 6-4, you're in the playoffs. You go 500, you might be in the playoffs. So, I mean, and no one wants to lose a game. Absolutely, you don't want to reference that. But these 10 games are winnable. Absolutely, they're winnable. The Broncos might be a task, but everybody else, I'm thinking, the coach, you got the coach twice, so that'll be a task because they're playing phenomenal right now. But bro, if you go 500 or better in this 10-game season, bro, you're in the playoffs. I think any of the Jaguar fans would take that if this team is like 9-8 or 10-7 and make the playoffs. So that's the way you gotta look at it. You gotta push all your chips in. You gotta go all in for these last 10 games. Everybody's got to play better. Everybody's got to be tougher, mentally, physically tougher. But if you want to make it to the playoffs, it's in your hands, and you need to take care of it.
Former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy. You get him every day on Prime Time. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. And, of course, Leon and I will be right back Sunday after the Las Vegas game with the coach, Gerald Ingram, for the 5th quarter. Leon, enjoy the bye week, and we'll talk next week, pal.
You got it, bro.
There you go, Leon Searcy every week with us here on Hacker After Dark, and we certainly appreciate Leon taking time out for us to talk about the Jaguars' 4-3 start. And I think when you hear it from a guy who played 11 years in the National Football League, it's not all doom and gloom, right? The LA game was awful. Wembley Stadium, that was awful. But when you take it in totality, 4-3 is a good spot to be in if you start playing better. If you don't play better, I mean, obviously it's going to catch up with you soon enough. That's why, to me, the Vegas Raider game is huge. That's a bad team. They might be trading off some of their assets prior to that game, potentially a guy like Jacoby Myers. So we'll see. And, again, that game is 11 days away. Interestingly enough, the Jaguars have a bye. The Raiders have a bye as well. So both teams will be certainly well rested for that game a week from Sunday. Back into the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 9 o'clock hour. Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country. He's also the host of the Duval Dive podcast. He will join us coming up here in about 45 minutes or so. Coming up next, let's get into the world of the National Basketball Association. Last night, Golden State over the Lakers. Former Gator Will Richard made his NBA debut, 14 minutes, a couple of big buckets in the fourth quarter. You got Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin making their NBA debuts tonight. You got a good battle in the state of Florida going on right now between Orlando and Miami. Let's preview the NBA season. Big stories of the offseason, the player movement, and who are the favorites coming into the 2025-2026 campaign. Trevor Lane, the host of the NBA Front Office Show. He's one of our NBA guys here on Hacker After Dark. He joins us next. It is a Wednesday evening in Northeast Florida, and we're glad you're with us, Jacksonville, right here on 1010XL on 92.5 FM. It's Hacker After Dark.
Your play-by-play home of Bulls Bulldogs football is 1010XL.
The 7-1 Bulldogs are fired up for senior night against the Wolfpack. Bulls Wolfson, Friday at 7 on 1010 AM.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Hacker here for the best weight loss program I've ever been on. You know how when you go onto Facebook and it brings up memories from years past on this given day? Well, earlier this week, I had a memory from 2 years ago, back in 2023, and I saw the way I looked, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was over 100 pounds ago. I had to do a double take, and then I went to look at myself in the mirror right now, and again, I just have to thank the great folks at Awaken 180 Weight Loss for basically giving me my life back. I lost over 100 pounds on that program. I'm keeping the weight off. The coaching was phenomenal. The food tastes great. I've tried a lot of weight loss programs. It is the best weight loss program I've ever been on, and the results, they speak for themselves. Go to awaken180weightloss.com, and in the month of October, you can get a free consultation. Go to awaken180weightloss.com.
If you've been in a big truck accident, you need a lawyer that specializes in big trucks. A lawyer who knows all the federal traffic rules that can affect your case.
And who can navigate the complex web of laws dealing with the trucking company, the leasing company, the shipper, and all the other details that can complicate your case.
At Farah & Farah, we've seen it all, and we're ready to go the long haul to fight for you. Jacksonville.
Brackish Vodka, the spirit of the sportsman and proud partner of the Jaguars, is now available at the Fresh Market Spirits and Wine. The Fresh Market Spirits and Wine is a new adult beverage store offering spirits, wine, beer, and accessories at A1A North in Ponte Vedra, a first-of-its-kind destination for thoughtfully curated spirits, wine, and beer as only the Fresh Market can. And now, you can get Brackish Vodka at the Fresh Market. Brackish Vodka, for whatever your sport is. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
Florida Gators football on 1010XL is driven by Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville. Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors. And the law firm of Farah & Farah. Get Gators play-by-play on 1010XL.
What if you could pull up to $500,000 in cash out of your home and drop your mortgage rate to 4.99% APR? Hey, Prosser here, and right now at Loan Pronto, they've got the lowest rates in 3 years. With Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan, you can get your cash in as little as 3 days, pay off all those high-interest credit cards, and even skip your next 2 house payments. One client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off their debt, paid off 2 car loans, saved $2,100 a month. One call, life change. There's no wait, no hard credit pull. You probably won't need an appraisal. Just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. Rates at a 3-year low. Act now. Call 914-999-1508 or visit loanpronto.com for your free instant home appraisal. See how much cash you can get today. Call 914-999-1508. See how much cash you can get today. You can also visit loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. On approved credit, visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
For your chance to win tickets to see Caitlin Clark, all-time women's college point scorer and WNBA star at the Florida Forum October 29th, text FORUM to the Lifetime Flooring text line at 641-1010.
I know you love sports, so why not take that passion and make a difference in your community as a volunteer coach with the YMCA? Whether it's soccer, basketball, volleyball, or flag football, The Y is always looking for positive role models to help kids grow in both skills and character. Even if you've got no coaching experience, that's fine. We'll provide the training. Step up, give back, and be the coach that makes a difference. To volunteer, visit your local Y or fcymca.org.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Football season is finally here, and with that, hopefully comes cooler weather. And if you've been wanting to upgrade your outdoor living space and just haven't pulled the trigger, you should call the experts at Lifetime Enclosures right now. From glass lanais to screened-in enclosures, Lifetime Enclosures and Flooring is the best in the business. Give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you.
Mike Dempsey for Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacksonville Beach. If your roof's got any damage, if it leaks, if it's just old and ugly, call my friends at Apex Roofing. But Mike, roofs are so expensive. It's true, quality roofing is not cheap, but Apex Roofing has up to 100% financing available, so you don't have to compromise quality for budget. Apex Roofing, no shortcuts, no stress, just quality work with financing available. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacksonville Beach. ApexRoofingFL.com.
Frank Franzi here for Coyle Fencing. Jacksonville is full of memorable sports moments. Remember Morton Anderson missing a chip shot field goal that launched the Jags into the playoffs in '96? You know who doesn't miss? Coyle Fencing. Coyle has been the fencing leader in Northeast Florida since 1927. Heck, Coyle has been installing fences since before Emery Bellard installed the wishbone offense. If you need a new fence, I recommend calling Coyle Fence today at 904-356-4821 or visit CoyleJacks.com. Coyle Fencing, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. It is NBA tip-off week, man. I love it. We've been so caught up in the NFL and college football. But the boys from the National Basketball Association tip it off this week. Of course, that means the Orlando Magic. A lot of expectations down in Central Florida. Let's talk Magic. Let's look around the rest of the NBA as well with one of our favorites, Trevor Lane, the host of the NBA Front Office Show. And Trevor's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Trevor, I hope your summer went well, man. How are you?
It did go well. It's been a fun summer, and I'm ready though for the NBA to be back in action. It is a great time of year around sports, and the NBA officially kicking off is certainly a big part of that. So a nice, relaxing summer, and I am ready to roll, Ryan.
Well, let's talk about Orlando first and foremost. Interesting offseason for the Magic. They, of course, make the big trade for Desmond Bane from Memphis. They also sign Tyus Jones, and they draft Jace Richardson. Banchero and Franz Wagner appear to be healthy. Still waiting for Jalen Suggs and Mo Wagner to be 100%, but that should happen sooner rather than later. Trevor, what's your overall thought on Orlando entering the season?
Yeah, I mean, they are, I think, one of the exciting teams to keep an eye on here in the Eastern Conference. They're a team that I know a lot of people, myself included, have predicted to finish third in the East right now, slotting them just behind the Cavs and the Knicks in terms of the power rankings of the Eastern Conference. I love the addition of Desmond Bane. The Magic gave up a lot to get him, but he is exactly what they needed. And if they can get some positive regression to hit their three-point shooting percentage, they just couldn't shoot well last season. I know that's been a problem for them over the years, but they can really take a big step forward. Des gives you that shooting plus the ability to be a playmaker for them, at least in a secondary role. So I'm really excited, and he does all that without really hurting the Magic's already fantastic defense. So I think this team is certainly on the rise in the Eastern Conference.
You know, it's interesting, too, in that you think the basketball powers that be owe Orlando one for last year. I mean, Suggs, Wagner, and Banchero played, I think, 6 games together the entire year. They lost Mo Wagner for the season in December. I mean, the injuries in Orlando last year were insane. if this team stays healthy, I completely agree with you, man. They could potentially make some noise.
Yeah, absolutely. Health is going to be a big part of it of course, for every team. But Orlando dealt with more than their fair share of injuries last season. So if the basketball gods smile upon them this year and give them a break, that would certainly be a big factor. I mean, look, if you look at the state of the Eastern Conference and why the East is so wide open right now, injuries are a big part of that, right? I mean, we're seeing what's gone on with Tyrese Halliburton with his Achilles, Jason Tatum with an Achilles injury as well. And so teams like Orlando say, hey, why not us? Why can't this be the year that we make a real run here? And when you have a defensive baseline that Orlando already has, and such a deficiency with the outside shooting from last year that I do think is not sustainably this bad. I think they're going to be a better shooting team. The sky's the limit for where they can go in a conference this wide open. They're going to defend every single night. They're going to be a tough team to play against night in, night out. And I think they are in a good position to really make a run this year in the East.
Trevor Lane of the NBA Front Office Show. You mentioned the injuries to Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton. Certainly the East appears wide open. Along with Orlando, I would say some other teams that feel like they can make a run. Probably Atlanta is in that mix. Detroit probably in that mix. Maybe Miami as well. Who are some of the other teams like Orlando that think their window is open right now?
Yeah, I think Detroit's certainly one of them. They are a team on the right. They did lose Malik Beasley. We'll see ultimately where he winds up. He is still a free agent right now for some other reasons, but Detroit's certainly a team on the rise. They're a team that can make some noise this year. Atlanta had arguably the best summer of anybody in the NBA. They're right there with the Denver Nuggets, with the Houston Rockets. I thought the Clippers had a really good summer as well. With the exception of some off the court stuff that they're dealing with, but the Atlanta Hawks I think had a phenomenal summer. They're poised to make a big step forward. As I said, Detroit is another team that's right there in that mix. The Orlando Magic, and I wouldn't completely count out the Pacers and the Celtics to at least be some tough teams to play against on any given night. I think they are still going to fight. That Pacers defense is already showing to be really scrappy from what we've seen in preseason. They're going to put a lot of pressure on teams, particularly on the perimeter. The Knicks and the Cavs are probably the head of the class right now in the East, those two, but there's going to be a number of teams right there behind them. And let's also not forget about Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis is just so good. They've got a deficiency with their ball handling. They could use a guard coming in, particularly after losing, Damian Lillard, buying him out over the summer. But they added Miles Turner. They were able to get him away from the Indiana Pacers. And I think Milwaukee is still a team to keep an eye on as well.
Trevor, when we go out west, it could be a free-for-all again. We will mention Denver, obviously. You look at Minnesota. We remember the great regular season they had a year ago. We'll see about the health of the Lakers. Certainly, it's a lot of intrigue in Dallas with what they potentially have and Anthony Davis and rookie Cooper Flagg. I mean, how do you assess the Western Conference as we kick this thing off?
Boy, the West, it's a mess. There's going to be multiple playoff quality teams that don't even make the play-in, I think, in the Western Conference. It's just how deep the conference is right now. And, it was this way last year, too, but I think it's even worse this season in terms of the depth of the Western Conference and how challenging it's going to be. I think it's going to be a tight race all the way through in the West. The Thunder, the reigning champs, are obviously going to be the number one seed out there coming into the season, and the team everybody expects to finish number one again. After that, the Denver Nuggets had a wonderful summer. I think I would slot them in right behind. And then you've got this whole mess of teams: the Lakers, the Clippers, the Wolves, the Warriors, the Mavs, I think, are up there. The San Antonio Spurs, with the improvements Victor Wembanyama has made to his game, the addition of Dylan Harper, they fancy themselves to get into the mix there, too. The Blazers added Drew Holiday over the summer. They've got young guys getting better. I didn't even mention the Memphis Grizzlies, who got good injury news on the Ja Morant front, even if the rest of their club has a few guys that are banged up right now. They're another club that's going to be right there. There's so much talent in the Western Conference right now. It's going to be a battle all the way through, and it could really come down to a game. 2 games could separate a huge jump in the standings. I mean, we saw it last year. 2 games separated the 3 seed from the 8 seed in the West, and I'm expecting it to be just as tightly contested this season again.
A couple of more for Trevor Lane, co-host of the NBA Front Office Show. Trevor, there appears to be a big gap between the West and the East. Like you said, I mean, there are some really good Western Conference teams. They're going to be in the 7, 8, 9 range. That might be in the 3, 4, 5 range in the East. Is that good for the league that the West is so much better, or does there need to be more parity?
You know, it's something that has been a topic of conversation for decades. I mean, back in the 80s, it was the other way. It was the East was the best conference, and you had a much easier path coming out of the West. For the last since the turn of the century, since 2000, though, it's been pretty heavily in favor of the Western Conference. If it's good for the league, I won't say that, because I think ultimately you want your best teams making the playoffs, and what happens is you wind up with I think right now, some better West teams that get left out in favor of some East teams that kind of fall backwards into the postseason. But the problem is you need teams to vote to change the dynamic here, and no East team is going to vote to switch it right now because they're going to enjoy the easier path to the playoffs. And if things shift and go the other direction and the East is the better conference, then the West teams won't vote for it. So I think it'll take eventually getting into expansion territory, perhaps in the next few years. If the NBA adds a couple of clubs, maybe they completely redraw the boundary lines and shift the way that we do things. I think it would take that kind of a drastic overhaul to address it. It does tend to be cyclical, but now we've got, close to the last 25 years here where the West has been better than the East. So it's been something that has perpetuated for a bit. I would like to see it change personally, because I want the best teams making it into the postseason, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Trevor, in our final moments, I'm the type of guy that likes to stick with what he knows, right? If something works for me, I just go with it, and I don't like to change a whole lot. But I need to adapt this year to the NBA because my television viewing will be drastically different than it has been in the years prior. Just do a quick synopsis for us here in Jacksonville about the new TV deal, about where games are. I know NBC is back in the mix. There's going to be a streaming element now. What all's new this year with the association?
Yeah, the NBA has changed some of their broadcast partners, and they've been pretty proactive about putting out watch guides all over the place. NBA Communications has been tweeting it out frequently. Essentially, you've got now throughout the week, you're going to find games on ABC, on NBC, on Peacock. That's on Sundays. Depending on the day of the week, that's going to determine where you're going to find games. ESPN has a day. Amazon Prime has a few days as well that you're going to get games. It will be, I think, a little bit of a challenge in order to stay on top of where games are. My hope is that eventually fans will fall into the routine, especially given that it's broken up by day. I know the NBA app is also making it easier for fans to go and find games and know where to watch and one click and take you exactly where you need to go in order to watch games. But yeah, it's a bit more spread out. Now we've got streaming platforms involved, but we have seen success with that with the NFL. I've already adopted my viewing habits Thursday evenings when I want to watch the Thursday night game. I'm heading over to Amazon Prime right now. So my hope is that while it may be a little bumpy in the early going, trying to figure out where exactly, which portal we're watching games through, ultimately we'll settle into a routine here because, yeah, streaming platforms are here. I think we are kind of in a transition period with viewership habits and all of that. And so it is the way things are moving, and we're going to have to just adjust and adapt. And if you're looking for more information out there on it, again, go onto X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it at this point. And the NBA Communications account has been putting out watch guides that are very handy and very simple and easy to follow for where to find games this year.
All right, Trevor, you're always so gracious with us. We'll hopefully have you on once every couple of weeks during the season. But as we kick this thing off, it's tip-off week, and we won't hold you to it. But here in the early, or I guess middle to late portions of October, tell me what's going to happen in June, man. Let's fast forward 8 months. Give me the Western champion, give me the Eastern champion, and give me your overall NBA champion.
So I have the Cavs coming out of the East. I think they are well positioned. They are the most expensive team in the NBA right now, but I think they've got a really good club. I thought they had a phenomenal regular season last year. Got bounced early in the playoffs, dealt with some injuries. Second round got bounced there, but I do think this year they break through, and I've got the Cavs getting through the Eastern Conference. I think the West is obviously a battle. If I have to pick the team that's going to survive, though, I think it's going to be the Thunder. I've got the Thunder winning the whole thing again. Now, we've had 7 years straight of a new champion every year. The parity has definitely increased around the NBA, but I think if any team is set up to snap that streak and win back-to-back, it's OKC. So much young talent. They're only going to get better. They kept all of their key pieces this summer. They've even added to this club. So I think the Thunder have to be the favorite to get it done again. If I had to pick between the Thunder and the Field, I'd take the Field. But if I have to pick one individual team that's going to win the whole thing, I got to go with OKC again.
Trevor, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about the NBA front office show and where and when they can find your work.
Yeah, the NBA front office show you can find on YouTube. We're actually really excited. We're also going to be on the NBA app and NBA TV this year as well. We're excited about that partnership kicking off here. So you can find us there. And then you can find us on podcast platforms as well, over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. If you happen to be a fan of the Lakers, I also cover them for Lakers Nation. You can find the Lakers Nation YouTube channel over there as well, and over on podcast platforms. And then I've got a whole other outlet where I cover the entire NBA and all the different news stories. That's called the Basketball Bulletin. You can find that on YouTube as well. So and the NBA keeps me very, very busy, but man, I love it.
He's one of our favorites, Trevor Lane, the NBA front office show, Lakers Nation, the Basketball Bulletin, among many, many outlets. Trevor, I know how busy you are on tip-off week. Thank you for making time for us, and we'll talk again soon, pal.
Sounds great. Thank you for having me.
Wingstop and 1010XL has the ultimate tailgate for you to win. Leon Searcy here, your lemon pepper guy. Go to 1010XL.com to register to win a 100-piece wing party complete with fries, veggie sticks, and dips.
Hey, it's Frank Frangie. Business owners, listen up. If your plumbing or AC company keeps giving you the runaround, it's time to cut them loose. Call my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. They already partner with some of the biggest commercial operations in Northeast Florida, like the Jaguars and station operations. Their office team makes invoicing a breeze, and their field techs, top-notch pros. Make the switch today. Duck Duck Rooter, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Call 904-862-6769. 904-862-6769. Tell them Frank sent you.
In a world where chains seem to take over, it's awesome to have a locally owned retailer who's only focused on Jacksonville. Beard's Diamonds is the perfect example. Hicken here. All those jewelers in Town Center are owned by big Wall Street companies, but Beard's Diamonds, they are local, man. Say hi to the Lupos when you get in there. They've been around and serving our area for more than 40 years. And Beard's runs circles around the big chains. Massive diamond inventory. Beard's. All the top bridal brands. Beard's. Strongest warranties. Beard's. Beard's wins on price every day. They don't have extra markups to please Wall Street or pay commission salespeople. In fact, Beard's guarantees to beat any national chain store on price. So don't buy anywhere until you at least get a second opinion at Beard's. I am sure you'll get a bigger, better quality diamond for your money. And it'll be backed by local folks with integrity and local accountability. Man, in a world where generic chain stores pop up everywhere, refreshing to see a local place that can give you a great diamond. Don't buy a diamond in Jacksonville without seeing your best option at Beard's Diamonds. Shop local, shop Beard's at the St. John's Town Center.
What's happening, folks? It's your main man, E.T., of course. And whether you're biking through shaded forest trails, casting a line from Camp Chow Pier, or enjoying music by the St. Johns River, Clay County is full of ways to play. This month, experience off-road trails at the 2025 Crawling for the Fallen. Savor bold flavors and classic rides at Moose Haven's 15th annual Chili Cook-Off and Car Show, and celebrate the fall season at fall festivals all across the county. Find a full lineup at ExploreClay.com. Come on, somebody.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just the job, but an experienced, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
Tired of wrestling with your shower curtain like it's a slip and slide gone wrong? Ditch the drama and say hello to a smooth, stylish glass shower enclosure from Baker Glass. Wago Glass is clean, elegant, and makes your bathroom look huge and brighter. Give your shower a makeover and feel like you're in a spa without the price tag. I'm Mac at Baker Glass. Call me and get ready to love your new shower. Let's make your shower great again. Remember, Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
Don't ghost your carpet this fall. Hicken here. Right now, you can get your entire home zero resified from Jacksonville's Ultimate Carpet Cleaner and get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $139 plus a free haul for Halloween. Get it? There's something scarier than ghosts and goblins hiding in your home. It's in your air ducts. This month, take 50% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning. Schedule your appointment at ZeroResJacksonville.com. Ask for the 1010XL special. Zero Res, spelled backwards or forwards. It spells the same. Zero Res.
Zero Res. Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
It's an evening of connection, laughter, and friendly competition, celebrating the creativity and resilience of our community with costumes, bowling, and prizes. To find out more about the Community Bowling Costume Party October 24th, contact Rebel Recovery.
If you'd like to help dogs find new homes, you can enjoy food, drinks, music, and of course, dogs at the Fall Fermi Festival, November 8th. Find out more at kprok9.com.
Find out how you can be part of the cure for blood cancer at the Light the Night Walk at Five Star Ballpark, November 22nd. Take the first step at lightthenight.org.
The Hometown for Heroes Home Buyers Program helps you get your down payment and closing costs paid. Call to learn more. 574-7180.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Hey, Googans, Hicken here, and I just want to once again give you this very simple reminder. Wear sunscreen. If you're outside a lot, bring the screen. Put some in your truck, on your boat, in your golf bag, whatever, wherever, just use it. Please. It's hot out there, and I just want you to protect yourself. I use it like it's cool because I think it is. But what's not cool, that's skin cancer. You don't want to deal with that. Go get yourself checked out. It could save your life. Go to beachesdermatology.com and schedule your appointment today. That's beachesdermatology.com.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Halftime, Hacker After Dark, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night right here on 1010XL. And on 92.5 FM, coming up here in the 10 o'clock hour, and the 9 o'clock hour, leading into the 10 o'clock hour. Brent Beard, you see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. We'll talk to Billy Napier, firing fallout, the Mike Norvell vote of confidence that he received over there in Tallahassee this week, and all points in between. So Brent Beard joins me coming up here in about 30 minutes. Also, Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country, also the Duval Dive podcast, as we'll take a look at the first 7 games of the Jacksonville Jaguars, certainly focusing on the struggles there against the LA and Wembley Stadium and where the Jaguars go from here. Again, 11 days until they resume their season out in Las Vegas a week from Sunday. You know, when the Jaguars are on a bye week, you kind of decompress a little bit and you get to look around the rest of the league. Some really interesting games this week. Now, in the AFC South, Indianapolis, look, I might have been wrong about them. They might actually be pretty good. I still think their level of competition that they've played is not great. I don't even think it's good. But at a certain point, you have to acknowledge the fact that winning 6 out of 7 in the NFL is not the easiest thing to do. And that's what Indianapolis has done. They're 6-1. And that's reality. And they're 2 games clear of everybody in the AFC South and they play probably the worst team in football this week in the Titans. So Indy, barring something that is very, very unforeseen, is going to be 7-1. And kudos to them. I mean, Shane Steichen, the head coach over there, Chris Ballard, the GM, they came in on the hot seat. We thought they had quarterback issues with Anthony Richardson struggling, and they bring in Daniel Jones. I mean, is Daniel Jones the next Baker Mayfield? Is Daniel Jones the next Sam Darnold? Kind of looks like that, right? Daniel Jones was essentially left for dead in New York. He's now in Indianapolis, and he's probably in the MVP, at least conversation right now. As far as the Titans go, if you haven't watched them yet this year, they are awful. They're 1-6. They're lucky to be 1-6. They've already fired their coach. There's talk they could have a fire sale at the trade deadline. It is all about the 2026 season already for the Titans, which is good for Jacksonville because the Jaguars will still see them twice moving forward. Indianapolis, this is their final game with Tennessee. Indianapolis still has 2 with Houston and 2 with Jacksonville. So, again, that kind of goes to show you the harder portion of Indianapolis' schedule will come in the final 8 or 9 games. Houston's 2-4. They're probably in must-win territory pretty soon here. Now, they have a 3-game home streak going on. They're at home the next 3 games, but those 3 games are against San Francisco, Denver, and Jacksonville. Not exactly an easy 3-game homestand. The Niners, the Broncos, and the Jaguars. Houston already sitting at 2-4, 4 wins back of Indy in the win column. We're getting awfully close to must-win territory for the Texans, and it might start this Sunday as they host a pretty good San Francisco team. You got the Aaron Rodgers Bowl as well coming up Sunday night. I love that. Pittsburgh and Green Bay. Obviously, it'll be Aaron Rodgers' first game against the Packers since leaving Green Bay. He's going to get inducted into Canton, Ohio at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in large part for what he did in a Green Bay Packer uniform, bringing them a Lombardi trophy along the way. Now being the quarterback of the surprising Pittsburgh Steelers. You will see Aaron Rodgers against Green Bay on Sunday night. Monday night, Washington and Kansas City lost a little luster today. Jaden Daniels is going to miss another game. He's already missed a few with injury. He got hurt again. Denmark, everybody was singing the praises of Jaden Daniels last year. Now he's getting banged up. Clearly not what he was a year ago. Is he the next, maybe C.J. Stroud? You don't think so?
Not to that degree. I mean, he's skinny, and yeah, he needs to take care of himself, but not that far.
I remember a time where everybody thought C.J. Stroud was going to be the best quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, he was top 5. That's what everybody was saying.
That time has come and gone. And now Jaden Daniels, maybe he's not down that path yet, but he's kind of taken that approach, right? C.J. Stroud, from his rookie year to his sophomore year, I'd say regressed a little bit. Clearly, Jaden Daniels is regressing as well. Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, the top 2 quarterbacks in the 24 draft. Who would you have right now?
Daniels, not close.
Not close. Has Caleb Williams made up any ground from last year to this year?
Oh, yeah, he's got a hell of a lot better coaching, but I'd still take Jaden Daniels.
All right, fair enough. Daniels is going to miss his 3rd game. Kansas City gets Washington on Monday night. You also have some other really good games as well. There are 6 teams on a bye week, including Jacksonville. It is the most teams on bye during the year. So 26 are in action, 6 are at home on the bye, which includes the Jaguars. And quickly, in the world of college football, good SEC week, whether it's Ole Miss, Oklahoma, game days in Nashville for Missouri and Vanderbilt. Love that. So it should be a good week of football, even though, and this is the first time in forever that I can remember this, Georgia, Florida, Florida State, and the Jaguars are all on bye. All 4 of them are off this week, which is pretty crazy when you say that, but that is the reality we are in right now, and we will certainly see what happens moving forward. Back into the Jacksonville Jaguars, my buddy Travis Holmes does a terrific job for both Big Cat Country and the Duval Dive podcast. Let's talk about the Jaguars heading into this bye week at 4-3 overall. Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country joins me next, right here on Hacker After Dark.
He's down on the ground. He is down.
A freak injury can wreck a football team and affect their championship dreams.
Wait, you're telling me I'm about to lose my number one wide receiver?
Listen for the personal injury attorneys Farah and Farah Injury Update.
Jacksonville.
On 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Hey folks, this is Denny Thompson, and when it comes to protecting my home, I turn to Tyson, the leaders in state-of-the-art home security right here in Jacksonville. Their AI cameras and smart doorbells are top-notch, keeping an eye on what matters most. Whether you're moving in or upgrading, Tyson offers flexible packages, rent or own, with specials on the first 3 years. Ramp up now for the holidays, the perfect gift for you or someone you love. Call Tyson today at 590-7979 for details.
Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, congratulating our Scholar Athlete of the Week, Madeline Minea, a senior swimmer and varsity flag football player at Mandarin High. Madeline is a member of the National Honor Society and the Spanish Honor Society. She also volunteers at the local food bank and is a swim coach.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal, you look troubled. Is something bugging you?
This friendship isn't all upside for me, Jason. People keep asking me stuff about you.
They ask you about me?
Is it really cooler with Bueller, they ask? So I say, totally. And they say, how do you mean that? And I say, he fixes air conditioners, which literally makes somebody cool. But he also has cool sunglasses and cool people and a cool family.
And I try to make working at Bueller Air and Plumbing a really cool experience for our technicians and plumbers. We treat our people like gold, and they treat our homeowners the exact same way.
Great. Well, now there's another cool thing I've got to remember. This is a lot of responsibility, Jason.
Life can get hectic sometimes. If you don't take a moment to slow down and appreciate all the cool parts, you could miss it.
Do people ask you about me at all?
Weirdly, they do.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Here's a health and wellness tip from orthopedic specialists of Jacksonville.
Here's a simple tip for shoulder health to improve your posture. Slouching can put extra stress on your shoulders, leading to pain and injury. Make sure your head is over your shoulders are relaxed and pulled back, and your spine is properly aligned. Whether you're sitting or standing, if you sit for long periods of time, make sure to get up and take breaks and work on pulling your shoulders back. Get up and get moving, Jacks, and go Jags.
Stay healthy with orthopedic specialists of Jacksonville.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick. We're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, it only costs for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by November 6th.
Hey, David again here with Royal Pest Services. It's that time of year when rodents start making their way into our homes. Layson, tell them what they need to get in.
A quarter-size hole.
That's right. That's all they need. Hey, tell them where to go for a free attic and exterior inspection.
Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
You waited forever for your new fence. Then strangers show up. Subcontractors rushing the job. Sent by the company you trusted. Frustrating, right? Superior Fence and Rail promises better. Their professionally trained builders deliver quality you can trust. No subcontractors, no shortcuts. Just the superior craftsmanship your home deserves.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Tired of roofers who never answer the phone and just use AI?
I'm Morgan Conley, the People's Roofer. I answer every call. No robots, no runaround. I'm born here, built here, staying here. Visit MorganConleyRoofing.org.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Jaguars now 4-3 after a very disappointing effort Sunday at Wembley Stadium and a loss to the Los Angeles Rams. They now enter the bye week, albeit with a winning record, but certainly a lot more questions than we currently have answers. Travis Holmes, Big Cat Country, is where you find his terrific work. You can also check him out as the host of the Duval Dive podcast. And Travis is always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Travis, how we doing, man?
I would love to say I was doing better. I mean, I normally am how the fan base is. So, unfortunately, with 2 straight losses, kind of skidding into the bye week, it took a little bit of way of that high, I guess, that everyone was kind of rolling on after the Chiefs Monday night victory. So that's where I am.
I brought this up earlier this week. If you would have gone into a football coma around like 2015 and you woke up a decade later and the last remembrance you have is of the Gus Bradley Jaguar teams, and then you watched that game on Sunday over in London, Travis, that looked like the Gus Bradley era of Jaguar football. Drops, penalties, missed kicks, a comedy of errors. I mean, what on earth, man? Can you put your finger on what happened at Wembley Stadium?
I wish I could. I would love to say, hey, it's this one thing, and that's the one thing that they can resolve over the bye week, and everything's going to be hunky-dory, and we're going to hold hands and sing kumbaya. But unfortunately, that's not where we are today. There seems to be a multitude of things, whether you're talking about the Cam Little situation that's been kind of budding for a few weeks, whether, he's able to make his kicks in warm-ups, so he's missing kicks in the actual game time now, whether you're talking about the Brian Thomas situation, whether or not he's able to go across the middle of the field or, actually take on that contact and without dropping the ball, whether you're talking about, the team's penalty situation and taking sacks on early downs and the offensive line being banged up, and just all the things combined result in you have a lot of questions that have to be answered over this bye week. And again, it just takes away of the high of being 4-3 right now, because I think the vast majority of Jacksonville Jaguars fans and media would have taken this record every day of the week, especially with wins over the 49ers, Chiefs, and even the Texans right now.
No, it's a great point, and I'll get the big picture in a moment because I think you're spot on, but there's a couple of things I want to dive into you with it first, and one's Brian Thomas Jr. Travis, you write for the biggest fan website the Jaguars have, and like you said, I mean, you interact with the fans on a daily basis, and I'm always leery to use this term about NFL players, the term soft. I don't think anybody's soft that plays in the National Football League. Right. Having said that, that term is being thrown around in regards to Brian Thomas Jr. The regression he has made from where he was a year ago to where he is now, Travis, is pretty striking. How do you put your finger on what's happened there?
Well, I've often thought this was an odd situation, mainly because in 2024, Brian Thomas Jr.'s rookie season, he was in a Doug Peterson offense that didn't run very many in-breaking routes. So that also means that we simply didn't see many opportunities for him to go across the middle and take that contact or avoid that contact and get the additional yak, whatever it may be, the outcome. So it's now a weird situation where this is sort of like everyone's first impression of what he looks like going across the middle on a consistent basis, because that's kind of a staple in this Liam Cohen offense. So I wouldn't give a guy a label of being soft or, the business decisions, conversations, or whatever label you want to put on it. But the film is the film, and it's problematic at bare minimum to see this, but also the drops are also problematic and similarly. So across the board, he has some things that he has to work out. It's things that he didn't do frequently in college also, because a lot of it was isolation routes on the sideline, even at LSU. So it's interesting to see, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to put your finger on, because he's doing something frequently now in this offense that he was never asked to do previously. And how do you resolve that? I mean, you got to keep practicing catching the ball. You got to keep practicing going across the middle. If you have guys who are live on a weekly basis, maybe on the Thursdays when they generally schedule, live contact, then actually making him go run through that contact, things like that. Otherwise, you're going to have this issue all season long, and I know that's probably the worst case scenario for anyone who's a supporter of this Jacksonville Jaguars team.
Travis Holmes, Big Cat Country, and the Duval Dive podcast. Travis, if there was a silver lining in London on Sunday, it was Travis Hunter, 8 catches, 100-plus yards, and a touchdown. Now, look, I know he's only playing basically one of the receiver positions. It's kind of hard to make him wide receiver one at this point, but it's also hard to me to see the offense not running through Travis Hunter moving forward if he keeps playing like he's playing and if Brian Thomas Jr. continues his regression.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfortunately the landing point for anyone who has eyes, who saw the film, who's seen the last few weeks of Jacksonville Jaguars football. And it's a solid situation for the Jaguars to have because, again, if Brian Thomas Jr. bounces back to be the prototypical Brian Thomas Jr., who we all know and recognize, then you have two number one guys. That's exactly the ceiling for what folks imagined this offense to be in this offseason. But if Brian Thomas Jr. continues playing in the way that he's played so far, then at least the Jacksonville Jaguars have a succession plan at that point. So I'm with you. It's kind of hard to unsee what we saw in that film with how Travis Hunter plays, with how his ability to go and get the ball, his ability to impact coverages to kind of swing towards him, all those things that you kind of walked into the season expecting from Brian Thomas Jr. But then that still leaves more questions in reference to, so then what is Brian Thomas Jr. in that offense, if anything? And that's a tough landing point to have. But again, that's why I say there's so many questions surrounding this offense. When you hired an offensive-minded coach, that makes it such a bigger question.
People are coming after Trevor Lawrence, and I get it. $275 million, the franchise quarterback, the generational label he was given, certainly hasn't lived up to much of that at all. And I don't think Trevor's playing great. In fact, I think Sunday he played poorly, to be honest. But when you've gotten sacked 14 times in the last 8 quarters, and when you're getting the ball to your wide receivers and they're not catching it anyway, I don't know if all the blame can go on Trevor Lawrence's shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the story of his career, especially with the limitations of his surrounding cast, his supporting cast, his old general manager, all of that, when you add the context to that conversation. But nevertheless, this game highlighted some of Trevor Lawrence's best and worst. So, like, I wanted to kind of point that out. Like, if you're a supporter of Trevor Lawrence's recent play, you will point to the majority of the second half, you know, the middle of the second quarter to all of the third quarter for those plays and be like, see, everyone around him is failing, and you're correct in saying that. But if you're a detractor or a critic of Trevor Lawrence, you'll point to that opening snap of the game where Trevor Lawrence misses a wide open Travis Hunter, who's likely his first or second read in that play because that's the side he's actually looking at. And Trevor mentioned this in his post-game availability. He didn't let the ball go. He takes a sack. And then on another first down play, he buys himself like 4 seconds to throw the ball while in the pocket, and he failed to find an open receiver, and then he takes a 3-yard sack, putting him behind the sticks. Like, you mentioned the 14 sacks over the last 2 weeks, but half of those sacks realistically fall on Trevor Lawrence's shoulders, just not throwing the ball away, or, you know, having a guy who he sees and he kind of just like does this little pump fake or his little hitch where he's kind of thinking about throwing it and then doesn't, and then all of a sudden you'll have a sack. So it's offensive line that's struggling. Trevor's also struggling to see the field, or he's struggling to trust his guys in front, whether that's the guys in front of him or the guys running the routes. So a lot of it just is guys not on the same page. And I think in Trevor Lawrence being that enigma, being that question mark still right now at the bye of this season with this team at 4-3 adds another layer of who are they, what is this team, and kind of where are the answers lying right now.
Travis, as we begin to wrap up, 13 penalties is complete and total nonsense. And look, that's 13 accepted penalties. They actually committed, I think, 3 or 4 more that weren't even accepted. Over 100 yards in penalty yardage. Liam Cohen in his post-game presser looked like he was out of answers. I mean, what are you going to do? At a certain point, these guys are paid professionals. Line up correctly. Don't hold. I mean, I don't know what else a coach can do at a certain juncture. My goodness, man. I mean, what do you do about the penalties?
Well, this is the weirdest one of all of them. And I'd say this game specifically was one of the weirdest games of this 2025 season, because I would love to say this is a continuation of all the previous issues, or this is a continuation of that, because that's easier to say. That's simpler to kind of communicate, and then we can just say, you know, we can just pretend that that's the case and kind of move on. But that's not what this game was from my perspective. Like, this game wasn't a boatload of pre-snap penalties as far as illegal formations and delay of games and all those things that say you're still working through your understanding of the offense or trying to get onto the same page. It was a few of those, don't get me wrong, But this was a lot of in-play penalties, of pass interferences, holding, illegal contact downfield as far as the defense is concerned. I think actually half of the penalties were on the defense this go round, whereas the offense, it was, holding things that are guys just basically being dominated, or guys being faster or stronger, or whatever the phrase you want to put around it. So that's because of that, I'm looking at this as just a team that just got beat in this way against the Rams, whereas the other games it was like the Jaguars are specifically beating themselves. This one felt like a team that beat them schematically, like the fact that Sean McVay came out in so much 13 personnel, like running like 40% of his plays with 3 tight ends, which he had only done like 11 plays in the week before, which is crazy. Like things like that. And then also that just happened to be something that the Jaguars struggled against the Seattle Seahawks, with Dewey Winger blowing that coverage on the 61-yard play against them. The same thing happened on the 31-yard touchdown this week. So it's kind of one of those things where I think that they got beat schematically. They struggled with the penalties on both defense and offense, and it wasn't one of those things where I think they just struggled to understand it. They just had a rough day at the office as far as the penalties were concerned, and that's why they lost. But I don't see it as like I saw the last 2 weeks, unfortunately.
Travis, I want to end with big picture stuff real quick, about 30 seconds. Cam Little, you mentioned him earlier. I'm not cutting Cam Little, but I'm bringing in a kicker, and I'm putting him on the practice squad. I want another kicker in that locker room to tell Cam Little, we're not joking around anymore. You better start making your kicks.
Yep, I think that's fair, though. And I think that's fair just because you've seen how so much success in this locker room, bringing in guys to push other guys to compete, whether that's bringing in Chuma Ndoga and the other offensive linemen to push Anton Harrison, bringing in Bayshaw to push Travis Etienne, bringing in more linebackers, Jack Kaiser, for instance, to push Devin Lloyd. So having more guys to push these guys makes total sense when they aren't guys that you originally brought in. So I fully agree with that thought process.
All right, Travis, 2-minute warning, final thought. If you take a deep breath, kind of like you did at the beginning, 4-3. When you and I were out there in 100-degree temperatures in August at training camp, if you would have told me the Jaguars are going to be 4-3 at the bye, I would have said, where do I sign? But I was talking to Jamal St. Cyr earlier this week, and I thought he brought up a great point. There's 2 different kinds of 4-3. There's a really happy, excited, optimistic 4-3, and there's a, oh my gosh, we're going down with a sinking Titanic 4-3. And I think the Jaguars are basically at the ladder right now. The question is, how do they right the ship? They got a week and a half before they have to go out to Las Vegas, and what I think is probably a must-win situation to get this season back on track. Your overall thoughts 7 weeks in on the Jaguars and how you see it moving forward?
I think fans should not have that Duval PTSD that we always have. I think folks are thinking too much about 2023 and whether or not the wheels are going to fall off. I think folks need to think back and have a long memory to remember how we thought about, like you said, this offseason. How did we picture this season? Most people did not picture this team being 4-3. And yes, it's looking down right now because of the questions that have to be answered, but that's a staple of a young team is inconsistency. So you're going to see that, especially against the competition that they've seen. I think folks just need to take a breath, enjoy the bye week, come back ready to talk some Jaguars football, and hey, they will get it right. And if they don't, well, guess what? They're probably going to land exactly where you thought they were going to land, around that 9 to 10 win season. That's my guess. That's sort of my expectation at this point.
Travis, tell us about the Duval Dive podcast, also Big Cat Country. What can people expect during the bye week?
Well, I mean, we're doing the Jaguars mailbag over at the Duval Dive. That's the main thing for the is for the bye week time frame, is finding out what fans want to hear about, what questions they want answered. And I know a lot of there's a lot of questions to be answered right now with the Jaguars organization, so that makes total sense. And at bigcatcountry.com, we're looking into the moves that the Jaguars should make this offseason with the trade deadline coming up, and the fact that Jaguars have so many questions at so many positions. Maybe if there are any veterans out there who can help the team, or any other moves as far as that's concerned, and just kind of hammering in on where the Jaguars can kind of be better to make this a playoff roster.
Travis Holmes, the Duval Dive podcast, also his terrific work over there at Big Cat Country. Travis, enjoy the bye week. We'll talk soon, pal.
Yes, sir.
Every tackle, basket, and crack of the bat. Your radio home for play-by-play is 1010XL.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Garrett Scantling here, and once again, thanks to Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, I'm back to training for the 2028 Olympics in LA. My torn hip labrum issue is resolved thanks to Dr. Doward, and Dr. Acevedo keeps my feet healthy too. Training and competing, that's what it's all about for me. And Southeast Orthopedic Specialists has me in top condition.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-656-1551. That's 800-656-1551.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Hey friends, Frank Frangie here. You know me. I don't mess around when it comes to taking care of business. Well, if your plumbing or AC company is giving you excuses, it's time to make a trade. Call the pros at Duck Duck Rooter. They're the trusted partner for some of the biggest commercial names in Northeast Florida. Their office team keeps billing smooth, and their field techs show up ready to fix the problem. Fast and right. Bring in the starters with Duck Duck Rooter, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Call 904-862-6769. 904-862-6769. Tell them Frank sent you.
Hey, Hicken here. Cooler weather right around the corner. So are you ready to float happy in the pool? Listen up. This month, Surfside Pools offering 10% on new pool heaters or heater replacements and installation. That's right. Now is the time to upgrade your pool heating system and extend that swimming season for months of extra enjoyment. Only from Surfside Pools, the trusted name for expert pool service. Family owned and operated. Call 246-2666 or visit surfsidepools.net.
License number CPC 044080.
Did you know that basketball and volleyball were invented at the YMCA? That's right, and even today, the Y continues to lead the way in youth sports programming, from toddlers just starting out to teens ready to compete. The Y offers skill development, recreational play, and competitive leagues, all in a fun, supportive environment. Get your child in the game to build character and skills at the Y. Registration is now open for youth volleyball and soccer at fcymca.org.
When it comes to glass, you don't want average. You want flawless. Duval Glass and Mirror has transformed homes and businesses across Jacksonville for over 35 years. Frameless showers that wow, mirrors cut exactly to your style, fogged or broken glass replaced, decorative tabletops, windows replaced or repaired to stand up to Florida storms. All backed by a 100% guarantee. Visit DuvalGlass.com for your free quote. There's only one name for glass and mirror around these parts. It's Duval!
1010XL, presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, there's a lot going on in the world of college football, primarily off the field, right? Billy Napier out as the Florida Gator head football coach. What happened down there? Why did it not work out for Billy Napier? More importantly for Gator Nation, what is next as far as the head coaching situation? And Mike Norvell in Tallahassee gets the vote of confidence. Is that for the next 5 weeks, or is that for the next couple of years? I would think it's probably the former and not the latter. There is a lot to get into with that. my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News, and you also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, my friend?
Well, good to be with you as always. What we're seeing is something that's happened earlier than normal. Is we're seeing firings of coaches and a lot of meetings about coaches, probably a month before or two, frankly, that this normally goes on. But it's a sign of the times, isn't it, Hank, that schools are not waiting anymore until the end of the year or even longer to make a change. So there are a lot of reasons for that we'll get into, but there's more going on off the field than there is on the field.
11 job openings already. We're not even into the month of November yet, and I would imagine that number is going to go up pretty significantly in the coming weeks. All right, Billy Napier out at Florida. No real surprise. Again, you fire him after a win. I don't think that's a great look, but that was the talk going into last week. In fact, you and I talked about that during our segment last week, that win or lose, it wasn't probably looking good for Billy. I thought it was a bad look, the fire Billy chants and the booing him off the field after a win. I get it. He didn't win enough down there, but you could see him getting a little emotional in the post-game press conference. I think Scott Strickland almost did him a favor, so he doesn't have to deal with that coming into the cocktail party. Brent, not to spend a ton of time on this, because obviously the future is what's more important now, but in your opinion, why did it not work out for Billy Napier in Gainesville?
Well, the big thing that sticks out to me is he was 22-23 in 4 seasons. Florida's 3-4, their worst record at this time of year, and frankly, in decades. So, you are what your record says you are, and unfortunately that did the same thing for Napier. I thought Napier at times, look, he may have been going last year, but they caught fire at the end of the season with wins over LSU and Ole Miss. They were excited about the team and what they were bringing back, particularly at quarterback, which is another story within this. But they did what they had to do. Napier probably lasted longer than a lot of people thought he would. So now they are circling the wagons. But look, this next hire at Florida needs to be a 8 to 10 year hire instead of what they're doing now in the last 3 or 4 hires, which has been a 3 to 4 year hire.
They're about to have their 7th head coach in the last 24 years.
Yeah.
That's a problem, right? After Spurrier left, you've gone through, Zook, obviously Urban had unbelievable success, but really since Urban, my gracious, Muschamp, Mullen, McElwain sandwiched in there, now Napier, and now they're about to hire another one. All right, you see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Majority of Gator Nation wants Lane Kiffin, Brent. That is certainly the talk. I said last night, in the land of NIL, people say, oh, well, Florida's a much better job than Ole Miss. Well, there are aspects of it that probably are, but look where we are in college football, man. Kurt Signetti's making $11.6 million in Bloomington, Indiana, and they're a top 5 team. You could argue Vanderbilt is among the top 3 or 4 SEC teams this year. Georgia Tech is the best ACC program. It is a different world in college football. To just say a blanket statement like, oh, Florida's a much better job than Ole Miss, this isn't 1995 anymore, Brent. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Well, NIL has leveled the playing field a lot more than we ever thought that it would. And by the way, Scott Strickland is going to be hiring his 3rd football coach, which is unusual for an AD, but that is the other situation that you've got. Napier being owed $21 million. Now, compared to some of these other coaches that we'll talk about over the next few days and weeks, that's almost a bargain, frankly. It is a reality of it, but they really had to do something. There was very little confidence in Napier in getting the job done. And the other reality is Napier probably cost himself a year or two easily by not allowing someone else to be the offensive coordinator. Instead, he dug his heels in and really, for whatever reason, thought he was a great offensive coordinator. And that was part of the reason, I mean, the main reason was not winning enough, but that was part of the reason that he no longer walks the sidelines in Gainesville.
If you were a betting man right now, as we sit on October the 22nd, the probability Lane Kiffin is the next coach at the University of Florida?
Believe it or not, Ole Miss is going to make a real effort to hire him or keep him there. And I mean that they're going to Kiffin makes about $8 million now, which is certainly not chump change, but my understanding is that Ole Miss is going to offer him maybe 13, something like that. We'll see where the money goes with it, but that's going to be incredibly important as far as what they're able to do, and they're able to do. And again, I get people saying Florida's a lot better school than anywhere else that Kiffin could go, but the money now, NIL has really made this more of a level playing field, and that's what we've got. So, and the other thing with Kiffin at Ole Miss, Kiffin basically only answers to the president. There's no one else. He doesn't have to answer to 4 or 5 other people. That's it, and that certainly is attractive. He's done a good job at Ole Miss. I still think he understands that where Florida is in the general pecking order of people's minds. So, I mean, Kiffin is certainly the guy that you hear that is interested, that they're looking at. Now, how far they go in the playoffs will be interesting. You also hear Marcus Freeman. The Marcus Freeman stuff is just agent situation, and his agents are trying to get him a better deal at Notre Dame because Freeman's name is going to come up. I don't think Freeman is going to leave Notre Dame. You hear a little bit of Dan Lanning. I don't think he's ready to leave Oregon at this point, too. You hear some James Franklin stuff. Franklin was a good football coach. He had a gaudy record, but he had trouble beating top-tier teams. And that's something that will follow him for a while, too. Eli Drinkwith is a real possibility from Missouri. Jed Fish has been mentioned from Washington. I'm not sure that he is ready to do that. But, again, as we said earlier, Florida needs to get a mainstream coach from a main conference who's going to be there 8 to 10 years.
A couple more for Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. If I get Lane Kiffin, Eli Drinkowitz, and Jeff Brom, and I give you the field, Brent, I'm going to feel pretty good about my three as being the next coach of the University of Florida. I think Drinkowitz would sprint to Gainesville. Now, he might be the fallback option if Kiffin says no, but I think Drinkowitz, if he's offered the job, he would take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I think he would too. I would agree with that. And Drink is a very good football coach. He has done great things with Missouri. Now, their record may level off a little bit. They did lose to Alabama. But still, that's a very, very good football team. And they've been set offensively. They're better defensively. So I don't think there's any doubt about that. Eli Drink with 27-6. You can't do much better than that.
He's done a good job with Missouri. And quite frankly, you look in the last couple of years, the job he's done with Missouri is almost as impressive as the job Lane Kiffin has done at Ole Miss. Now, Lane Kiffin, because of his name and because of his past, he gets a lot more coverage. But you look at Drinkowitz, he's also kind of a quirky personality. He'll give you a soundbite. You know, if people say, well, only Spurrier and Urban have won in Gainesville, you need kind of an outgoing personality, and that's Lane Kiffin. Well, I got news for you. That's Eli Drinkwitz, too. I mean,
Sure it is.
there's no doubt about that. Quickly to Florida State. That's a disaster. They've lost 11 out of 12 conference games. They were a 17.5-point favorite against an awful Stanford team where they only scored 13 points. They lost to Stanford's backup quarterback, essentially. Mike Norvell, because they don't have the finances right now to get rid of him, basically. He gets the vote of confidence through the end of the year, and then they said they would reassess. I mean, what a nightmare scenario for Florida State right now.
It is. Well, it's a nightmare in many ways, and the biggest nightmare is in his last 19 games, they're 5-14.
Ugh.
Three of those 5 wins, Charleston Southern, East Texas A&M, and Kent State. Heck, that's not good by any stretch of the imagination. Look, everybody's come out and said the right stuff. We'll deal with this at the end of the year. The loss last weekend, frankly, was terrible in many ways. And they've got more to come as far as losses. The buyout is $55 million, and that can be negotiated somewhat down. And I get the fact that that they're waiting. Well, what they're really waiting on is they're waiting on to see how they're going to be financially once they get rid of him. That's what that's really about, more than them really circling the wagons and doing better. 23 transfers has not helped them, frankly, at all. You've got some behavior on the sidelines of games that's not going either. So, but again, Hank, FSU's facing the same question a lot of other schools are, is we really can't afford to fire him, but we really can't afford to have him come back another year or two either.
Yeah, it's a bad situation for Florida State, and that job could easily come open. I think Auburn could easily come open. Kentucky could easily come open. Heck, there's even people that are pretty upset out in Baton Rouge about what Brian Kelly's doing out there. And that's an interesting one. If LSU, I don't think LSU would come open, Brent, but if it does, boy, they would be in the Lane Kiffin, I think, sweepstakes as well. Quickly, final thought on Drinkwitz and Kiffin one more time. For anybody that wants to hire either one of those guys, Florida, obviously, the primary focus there. And, again, we got about 60 seconds. You're kind of rooting against Ole Miss and Missouri moving forward, right? I mean, if you're a Gator fan, you want Oklahoma to beat Ole Miss. You want Vandy to beat Missouri. You don't want either one of those teams in the playoff if you want to hire their coach.
Well, and that's understandable. But the reality is, as you aim higher than Sun Belt coaches, that's what you're going to be facing. But the reality is, too, is by the time you get around to mid-January is what you're talking about in the long run. But there's a chance if they get in the playoffs, they won't last long. But for coaches that you just talked about, they are worth waiting on, and there will be a lot of third-party back-channel dealing that will be happening too.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Hopefully next week, Brent, we won't have any coaching movement. We'll be able to focus more on the games, but it is certainly a very, very busy time. And, oh, by the way, next week we will have a cocktail party to preview. Brent, always enjoy it, my friend. We'll talk soon.
You too, brother. Take care.
And thank you to Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark, talking about the fallout after the firing of Billy Napier in Gainesville. What is next for Florida? That'll be the big talking point. The amazing thing is, I mean, Florida still has 5 games to go, and they actually did win on Saturday, right? They're 3-4. They got to win 3 out of their next 5 to try to get to a bowl game, which is probably doable, right? You got Kentucky still. You got Florida State. You got games against Tennessee, Ole Miss, and, of course, the cocktail party here against Georgia. So we're talking about this team and so much look ahead to 2026. Well, you got to enjoy it for what it is. There are still 5 games to go, and the Gators sit 3-4 on the year heading in to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party a week from Saturday, which, by the way, is also the last time it'll be in Jacksonville for a couple of years. Remember, it goes to Atlanta and Tampa in 2026 and 2027 before coming back here to Jacksonville with the Stadium of the Future in 2028. I know that'll be a big talking point next week, but just something to think about is this is the last time you'll see Florida, Georgia, and Jacksonville for a couple of years. Billy Gonzalez, the interim coach at Florida after the dismissal of Billy Napier, and we'll see what Florida can do against obviously a very, very good Georgia Bulldog football team. So we certainly talked a lot about that. The NBA opening tip-off weekend. Almost every team in action tonight. You had a couple of games last night as we broke down the association a little bit. And then obviously we're never going to get too far away from the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are enjoying their bye week, a little downtime for the guys. They get a couple of days off now before they come back